right, I'd like to call to order the March 12th, 2019 Planning Board meeting. Ask everybody to stand with us for a Pledge of Allegiance and the moment of silence. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Does anybody have any disqualifications or conflicts of interest tonight? Hearing none. We have a quorum with 5 members. And moving on to the agenda, are there any changes to tonight's agenda?
Not that I'm aware of, Mr. Chairman.
If there are no changes to the agenda, I would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Minutes from the February 12th meeting. If there are no changes to the minutes, I would entertain a motion of approval of the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Any old business? I don't think we have any old business, do we?
No, sir.
All right. We're moving on. Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
We've already got out of order anyway.
That's okay. This is a unique agenda.
Ms. Glaive?
Yes, we will be opening the floor for nominations of chairman. Are there any nominations?
I would like to make a nomination for Shay to become chairman.
Second.
Okay, we have a nomination for Shay to be chairman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so Shay, take over for vice chair.
Do I take over there?
You do.
All right. Well, I'd like to open the floor for nominations for vice chairman, and I would like to start by nominating Mr. Gary Owens.
Second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. So are we all set to move on now?
You're
Or?
all set. You don't even
Right.
have to change seats.
That's true.
We're all good. Okay, PB 19-6, Currituck County Tax Amendment. Currituck County requests an amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 2, Administration, to increase public notice mailing requirements from 200 feet to 500 feet from the subject property, and to modify expiration dates of planned developments and subdivisions with use permits to 3 years from approval date, with no opportunity to request extensions of the approval.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This text amendment is directed by the Board of Commissioners. It came out of their January retreat. And basically, you'll see that both items, well, the first item is regarding getting notice out to adjoining property owners. The general statutes require that mailed notices go to abutting property. Currituck County has historically gone above and beyond that. For probably 15 or 20 years, we did 150 feet. Then probably 10 years ago, we went up to 200 feet. And now we're the board has requested that those written public notices go to everybody within 500 feet of the property boundary for these types of cases. And it would be like, think of like a subdivision or a use permit, or any type of approval that contains a use permit. The second item is regarding expiration of major subdivision and planned developments. Currently, the developer gets approval. That approval of the preliminary plat is good for 2 years. If they do not start that project within 2 years, they are allowed to request 1 2-year extension for just cause. And what the commissioners were finding is that just cause is very subjective, and some developers were just simply asking for an extension, perhaps without just cause, and they were holding up adequate public facilities. And when I say that, think about your school system, think about fire, EMS, your sheriff's department. They were holding those facilities for subdivisions that may actually want to develop and move forward. So the compromise is to allow these approvals for 3 years. If they don't develop in 3 years, they have expired, and they would have to come back through the development review process and effect at that time. Staff is suggesting that the text amendment be approved. Since it's just us, I'm not going to read to you. It is consistent with the land use plan, and we put a couple of policies in there that it's consistent with. We're saying that staff is suggesting that it's also reasonable in the public interest because it encourages subdivisions to develop in a timely manner, and it increases public notification for Board of Commissioners public hearings for preliminary plat and use permits. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for staff? Nope. All right. Well, then I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Well,
To approve.
Subject to the just for clarification, subject to the consistency statements and the reasonableness and
Reasonable.
public interest statements in
Yes.
the staff report. Thank you.
Yes.
I second it.
All right.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm going to vote no on that one. I would rather stick with the 200 feet rather than the 5. So motion passes 4-1. All right. That's all we've got. Is there any announcements?
Mr. Chairman, there is discussion regarding your rules of procedure to move the planning board's meeting time from 7 p.m. to 6 p.m. on the second Tuesday of every month. And your rules of procedure say you have to talk about it at one meeting, then you can vote on it at the next meeting. So if the board has any discussion about that, now would be the time.
Okay. Is there any discussion,
Uh,
further discussion on it?
No, I think we should move it to 6 o'clock.
And we have to wait till next meeting to vote on that.
We do.
Okay. Well, we'll vote on that next meeting.
Okay, we'll make it an item on the agenda.
All right. Well, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
To adjourn.
All right. Second?
Aye, second.
All right. Motion carries.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.